tangerines in season. Anyways, the old coot here, come back at you with another exciting video, kind of following up from the video just prior to this one. Why is it that when you eat a pizza or you eat pasta or you eat bread in Italy, you typically don't gain weight, right? As long as you can control your ice cream consumption, the gelatos, right? Typically you tend to like lose weight in Italy. Or why is it that the Italians are healthier, right? And they're not as like overweight, let's say, they're actually skinny, and they'll eat like an entire 12-inch pizza, no problem, and 2 hours later still be hungry. You know, it's like that's what's going on. Why do the Italians have an easier time digesting their pizza, their pasta, and their bread? The short, quickest explanation is time and money, right? Italians have a lot of time, so they're willing to put their love and their dedication into their passion, which maybe one of their passions is making dough. So, so here in the United States, a lot of these manufacturers, a lot of these restaurants, they buy pre-made dough, or what they'll do is they'll make the dough, but they'll make it on Monday morning, and then they'll usually serve it up Monday afternoon or even Monday evening. And then the next day they go through the whole process all over again. In Italy, the difference is they'll make the dough on a Monday, they'll let it ferment all day Tuesday, right? Tuesday night, the whole 9 yards. Sometimes they'll make it Tuesday late at night, depending on when they made it at Monday. But typically they'll wait till Wednesday. So 3 full days, it's a 3-day process. So they'll wait till Wednesday before they slice and dice that dough and make bread, pasta, and pizza out of it. What's going on? What's happening? So on the United States side, they're using fast acting yeast. They're using treatments, let's call them chemicals, to make that dough rise faster because time is money. They're trying to cheat the whole natural process to make bread or pizza or pasta. So what ends up happening is your body is having a hard time digesting that stuff. That's what causes the bloating. That's what causes digestive issues. That's what causes like other autoimmune kind of things going on. And by the way, this video is intended for entertainment purposes only. I'm really stressing this in this video is go see your doctor. If you're having some kind of autoimmune disorder, or you're having like gluten issues, or you're having like digestive issues, talk to your doctor, because there might be something else going on that you're not aware of. So, if you are suffering from bloating, digestive issues, constipation, diarrhea, whatever the case may be, talk to your doctor, see what's going on. So anyways, United States side, they came up with a solution. They said, okay, we're going to do gluten-free, right? Gluten-free, because the gluten is the issue, right? The gluten is the enemy. My issue with that is, namely, it's what's in the gluten-free stuff. So Trader Joe's makes good products, like in general. But what I don't like is sodium acid pyrophosphate. What the heck is that? And I don't like monocalcium phosphate. Anything that has phosphate, nitrate in it, typically not a good thing for your body. So why are they doing that? They're doing that because they used, if you notice, the gluten-free dough, they're not using wheat, right? They're using tapioca starch. A lot of other companies will use almond flour, that kind of vibe, or some other type of like alternative wheat type of a flour. And they're trying to get that same effect as the fermentation process that happened in Italy, right? By taking their time and doing it like the natural way. So they're trying to save time and money again. So you think you're eating healthy, you kind of sort of are, but you might be risking yourself or opening yourself up to other issues. So what's going on, right? How do you fix that? How do you get as close to the Italian way of making bread, pasta, and pizza as possible here in the United States? The fastest, quickest way is, do you have a local artisan bakery near you, right? Work out a deal with them. Say, hey, I'm going to be making bread, pasta, and pizza at home. I'm not trying to get in competition with you. Can I buy a pound of your dough? Can I buy a pound of your dough at X price, and every week I'm going to be buying a pound of your dough? Great. If they won't do it, right, most of them won't sell their proprietary dough mix. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make it yourself, and make it in the traditional, like, Italian way. So what does that involve? Mix up some flour and water, let it sit out for like a day. It's going to collect whatever natural yeast is in your area. So that's the first step in the process. The next step is you're then going to keep adding a tablespoon of flour, a tablespoon of water, and basically you're building up your starter, right? What's going on is bacteria is going to flavor that starter, which in turn is going to flavor your dough, right? And then the fermentation process that's happening is basically every time you're adding to that starter, you're basically allowing the fermentation process to break down those things that are in the dough that are going to cause bloating, right? They're going to cause like digestive issues, et cetera, et cetera. So fermentation is your friend. Bacteria is your friend, right? I've done other videos on how to make a starter, how to make like bread dough. Check those out. I'll try to get another video cranked out, as soon as I can, basically showing you the whole process and re-explaining all of this. But once you get your dough made, what they'll do in Italy is let's say they make the dough on Monday, they'll let it ferment Tuesday, and then Wednesday is when they actually use it. So typically it's around 2.5 to 3 days for that entire process. And what they'll do is every single day, they're reserving like a certain portion of that dough to make the next batch. So it's like a continual 24/7 process of making the dough, saving a little, making the next batch of dough, saving a little from that batch to make the next batch, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So every single time they go through that process, the bacteria is getting more flavorful, right? It's giving more flavor to the dough. And also the fermentation process is helping to break down all of those things that are in the dough that cause those digestive issues. So that's basically the gist of what's happening. And that's why typically most Italians, as long as you can control your gelato intake, right, your ice cream intake, the sweets, the pastries, etc., typically most Italians will eat and then like 2 or 3 hours later be hungry, because that pasta literally goes through their system in a more efficient way so that their body can get the nutrients out of the dough, the flour, the water, the etc., the fermentation process, the bacteria process. It helps with that good gut biome, right? That good bacteria that feeds the good bacteria that's in your gut. It does a whole bunch of things. And that's why Italians are usually skinnier, right? They're healthier. And that's why they're able to eat pizza, pasta, and bread and usually not gain a pound. Okay, questions that came up in the comment section from other videos. So what about like the cheese and the meats and the fatty stuff, the prosciutto? How does all that play in? You're gonna have to stay tuned. So I'm gonna try to get another video cranked out on all that stuff. Blue zone, right? Why is it that Sardinia is an island in Italy? Why is it that Sardinians live to be over 100? Part of just like a little bit optimizing, just a little extra thing that they do is they eat pasta, pizza, and bread that they make themselves, right? 3-day fermentation process. It could be 2 days in some cases, where like they'll make the dough, they'll stick it in the fridge, it'll go through the fermentation process. The next day they'll cook it, use it, whatever. But that's why those blue zone people in Sardinia, Italy live just a little bit longer. Is that true of the other blue zones that are around the world? Stay tuned. We're going to be doing another video here. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I'll try to get to that issue shortly. But once again, just to recap, Italians, right? They make their dough on Monday. They don't use it until Wednesday, usually. That process of fermentation of bacteria, the bacteria gives the dough the flavor, right? So Tuscany is going to be different than Rome. Rome's going to be different than Naples. Naples is going to be different than Sicily. Different bacteria, different flavors, kind of get a sense of what's going on there. The 3-day process, right? They make the dough on Monday, they eat it on Wednesday. The 3-day process in like putting the dough in the refrigerator or in a cool place, basically the fermentation process, right? The process of fermentation is breaking down those things that are in the dough that are going to be harder to digest. So the fermentation process aids or helps with digestion. It helps at good gut biome bacteria. It helps with a whole host of other things. That's why the Italian stuff, the bread, the pizza, the pasta is much better, much healthier for those Italians. Here in the United States, they typically make the dough on Monday morning. By Monday lunchtime, Monday afternoon, they're already serving it up. And the way they get the rise out of the dough here in the United States is they'll use conditioners, they'll use chemicals, they'll use things that I don't really want to get into, but they'll use a whole bunch of things that are not good for your body to basically get the same effects, at least in terms of rise, as the Italians do, but they're just trying to save time and money. So a lot of the United States stuff is, it just wreaks havoc, causes bloating. It can cause or worsen like autoimmune disorders, et cetera, et cetera. So remember, go to your doctor, talk to your doctor. If you're having like any kind of like constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, any kind of autoimmune disorders or whatever, go to your doctor and really try to talk to your doctor and figure out, is gluten-free right for you in your specific situation? Or is it just better to make your own dough or buy dough from an artisan, bakery that's willing to work out a deal with you? You're gonna have carbs. Let's say you're gonna have carbs once a week. Buy the dough once a week. If you're gonna have carbs like once every 2 weeks, then buy the dough once every 2 weeks. But try to work out a deal with your artisan baker, to see what kind of, deals or discounts or, whatever you can kind of figure out. But at the same time, it may just really boil down to, if you want to have pizza, if you want to have pasta, or if you want to have any kind of bread, you may have to just make it yourself, go through that timed process of, doing your own soured dough process of fermentation. And who knows, you could pick up some, really good tasting dough out of it because of the specific part of wherever in the world or the country you live in. So who knows? Anyways, with that being said, there are some links down below in the description, also in the comments section. I did put a link to this down there as well below. If you saw the video playlist about that, go ahead and check that out. I'm the Old Coot. If you have any comments, comment down there, and I'll catch you all in the next exciting video.